Hello, this is Greg Galson from Green Greg's coming to you on 11 November 21. Time on deck is 2100 hours Central Standard Time. This is Veterans Day. Veterans are the last people in the world, veterans and service members who are actively serving are really the last people in the world who actually want a war. But they're the very first people who will go in and defend the country they love, the people they love. So always remember that. And a salute to all my fellow veterans and to current serving members in the armed forces. It's a tough job. It's not an office job. It's a commitment to your life, a risk of your life to take that upon you. But today, I'm going to talk about something else. And I hope I can get this posted while Veterans Day is still active. Sometimes YouTube slows me down. What I want to talk about is China. That China might just be tempted to launch a first strike on the United States. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to point out to you, and it is their modus operandi to strike first. They've done it again and again. We're going to go all over that. So whether you realize it or not, America is in a Cold War with China. Can we deter China from escalating it into a hot one? And that is the question. Think China wouldn't risk a nuclear war with the United States? People tell me this all the time. Well, they have already risked a U.S. nuclear attack by attacking U.S. military in the Korean War. MacArthur wanted to nuke China. He really wanted to get them. But President Harry Truman fired him over that. Now China's interest in starting a war may be even greater. And that, my friends, is what we're going into. So I'll bring you this as part of my Eyes Wide Open and Head on a Swivel series so that you can know what may come, so that you'll know to prepare, so you can share this with your family. Maybe you can wake up those few who haven't woken up yet. I've got many videos on my channel talking about these kind of things. And I call my watchers swivel heads, because I know you've got your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, so that you can learn and be prepared to do so. If you've not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, bang the update notification bell, and click all, because I'll bring you this. I also bring you how to prepare, especially in the area of gardening, worm farming, homesteading, wild edibles, where you can eat free from the weeds and trees. But you're going to need more carbs and more protein than you might often get from the weeds and the trees. And you need stuff that can last you long, get you by, especially if we have a nuclear event where weather may go bad for several years. A nuclear winter will preclude you from growing for some time. You better have some seeds in storage. You can check my True Leaf Market links below for that. But guys, go to for the special, the really good special, go to prepwithgreg.com. If you go to prepwithgreg.com, you will find $100 off a 3-month supply of food that will last you 25 years plus. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 2,000 calories a day, a deal that'll make you a winner, because most of these other food storage companies offer you like 800 calories a day and call that a day's servings. No, 2,000 calories a day. That's what you need. And this is lightweight food. It's easy to bug out with. You can, even your kids can carry it easily. And these buckets are a nice size for bugging out, for storage. Unlike some of the competitors that have these much larger containers, you get in a 3-month supply 6 of these buckets. That's a 2-week supply. And there's these nice little pouches inside. If you need to bug out with a backpack and go maneuvers, are a lot easier to put in your backpack. 2,000 calories a day, guys. It's freeze-dried food. It reconstitutes into real food, not mushy stuff. This is good stuff. I highly encourage you to consider that, especially to put in forward areas like your caches, your hideout areas, and places where you don't want people to find your stuff in case they come in your house. That's something you can't do with the glass jars. Everybody should garden and can in glass jars, but your glass jars are not too amenable to that kind of storage. These are. My friend Stacy Savicki, she uses these kind of things for her outdoor storage. When you take your drum or something, put them in them buried underground. That's the best way to go, my friends. Okay, so let's get back to it. Yeah, prepwithgreg.com. So let's get back to it. China's historical record is clear. Since their founding, the founding of the PRC, the People's Republic of China, in 1949, when confronted by a threat, when confronted by a growing threat, in particular to its geopolitical interest, Beijing does not wait to be attacked. It shoots first. It always has. It shoots first to gain the element of surprise. With the Korean War and China's war with Vietnam, China has proven its willingness to pick up a costly fight with an enemy just to teach it a lesson. Beijing has this temptation in multiple areas today. So that's what we're going through here, guys. Once the shooting starts, pressures to escalate will be severe. Numerous scholars have concluded that China attacks when it worries its enemies are closing in, not when it is confident about its future, as some people think. The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, launches war when it perceives an opening window of vulnerability within its territory and the area around and the area around it, like a buffer zone, or a closing window of opportunity to capture and control a disputed area. The characteristics of CCP initiated wars hold regardless of the strength of their opponents. China has often attacked far superior opponents, including the United States and Russia. Oh yeah. You go, no, they haven't. Oh yeah, they have. Today, China faces opening and closing windows. Their opening window of vulnerability as they see it is Taiwan wanting to grow more distant as the CCP squeezes. Imagine that. As the CCP squeezes it more and the West begins to support Taiwan more. And also the West asserting international rights of navigation in the South China Sea. It's amazing how the harder they squeeze it, the less Taiwan wants to do with it. The CCP seems to be a bit lacking in psychology, maybe. The closing window of opportunity is to acquire Taiwan and disputed areas within its areas of dispute with China, India, with India and Japan, as those adversaries grow stronger. And add to that China is challenged by a rapidly aging population due to the one-child policy, and that their economic bubble is in trouble due to the vast depth of their real estate market and return to the earlier, more communistic ways. So, they're changing their economy back from, a market economy more to the communistic style. Their window of opportunity for the CCP is closing due to that. Their economic indicators are going to start heading down at some point. Add to that also that Xi Jinping, he wants to exceed Mao Zedong. He wants to be bigger than Mao Zedong. That's his big dream. Mao Zedong founded the country. How do you get bigger than Mao Zedong? Well, instead, the way he wants to do that is by taking the United States out from being number one. The United States is number one in the world in influence today. They want to dethrone the United States. They also want to take Taiwan, something Mao Zedong could not do. So either or both of these is what Xi Jinping aspires to do. And both cause a lot of problems. See, there is a precedence in history. You say, oh, this stuff never happened. Greg, what are you smoking? The precedence is there. It's in history. In 1950, less than a year old, when the PRC, the People's Republic of China, was less than a year old, after a long civil war with with Japanese invasion. So they fought a civil war in the country. They fought the Japanese invasion that Japan conquered large swaths of China. So they were fighting both them and their civil war. An almost destitute, fledgling country, again, less than a year old, attacked and mauled U.S. troops in Korea. China was concerned that the U.S. would take North Korea and eventually use it as a base to attack China. China suffered 1 million casualties, risked nuclear war, nuclear attack, and was sacked with severe economic sanctions for a generation as a result of having done it. Yeah, MacArthur seriously, he's pushed hard to attack China with nuclear forces. I mean, he really wanted to do that. And like I said, Harry Truman fired him for it. Believe it's not there yet, despite of all that, despite having lost 1 million casualties in that conflict, China celebrates that as a glorious victory to this day. Why? Because they kept the United States out of North Korea. They kept that border safe. So they celebrate that as a huge victory. Well, not see it that way, but that's the way they see it. Now, I've talked to people, I'm a veteran. I've talked to veterans of the Korean War. And they told me it was mind-boggling. They said, the Chinese troops would come in wave after wave. So you would defeat a wave of these troops, and here would come another. You defeat them, and here comes another, and another, and another. Just endless wave after wave after wave of troops. And I was told they wouldn't even all have rifles. The guys in the front would get the rifles, and the guys behind them would pick up the rifles of the dead guys and keep fighting. And wow. Americans don't even think that way. Our soldiers don't even think like that. We think of the Chinese soldiers today as being little emperors because they're the, sole sons of a family who couldn't have but one child. And so we think of them as being spoiled little emperors. And maybe they are. Let's hope that's the case. Let's hope they're not hardened like their ancestors who sent wave after wave of soldiers in. The first waves, getting totally annihilated. They didn't know they were getting annihilated. They knew they only had enough weapons for those guys. And so if you were the first guy on the weapon, your chances were pretty darn nil. Yet they came and just kept coming. That's a bit unnerving. You think you won. You think you defeated the enemy. And they come again and again and again. So that was pretty unnerving to the American soldiers at the time. But we persevered. We survived that. Yet the Chinese are the ones who celebrated it as a victory. You might know we at one point under MacArthur, we pushed almost to China, and that's when the Chinese got involved and came in. Originally before we came in, the North Koreans almost pushed South Korea out, and we came in and pushed back, and then settled along the demilitarized zone. What's a demilitarized zone today? But anyway, I digress, but that just tells you a little bit about the resolution of China's army. Less than a year old, a very destitute nation jumped American troops, mauled them, and did this at risk of nuclear war with us. Real risk. It was not, just it might happen and now they won't do it. Oh no. There were people that wanted to do it. Anyway, the People's Liberation Army attacked Indian troops in 1962. Allegedly because they built an outpost in the disputed area of the Himalayas. The real reason was that the CCP feared being surrounded by Indians, Americans, Soviets, and Chinese nationalists. The guys in Taiwan are friends at the Republic of China in Taiwan. Yeah, it's the Republic of China, which predated the People's Republic of China. So the Republic of China was China before they went to exile due to an insurgency established by the PRC or the CCP. But each of these had recently increased their defense spending in the militaries around mainland China. And so that got China really unnerved. So to teach a lesson to everybody, they attacked India. In 1969, the PLA ambushed Soviet troops along the Users River, starting a 7-month undeclared conflict that again risked nuclear war, this time with Russia. So China has had, at the time, the Russians were stronger. At the time, India was pretty strong. But particularly when they attacked American troops and when they attacked Russian troops, they took huge risks, but they did it. And they did it by hitting first. The CCP thought they were on Moscow's hit list due to their counter-revolution there. They had a counter-revolution in China, and a lot of people didn't make it through that. The PLA invaded northern North Vietnam, which is Vietnam at the time. Northern Vietnam captured several cities near the border in a conflict from 17 February to 16 March in 1979. Just before I went in the army, I remember that. The head of the CCP, Deng Xiaoping, wanted to teach Vietnam a lesson for hosting Soviet forces and for invading their ally, Cambodia. Remember the Khmer Rouge, headed by Pol Pot, that took over Cambodia and wiped out 1/3 of the people there? That was China's ally. And even the communist Vietnam had a hard time stomaching that, so they invaded them. So these communist countries will fight each other, as we've seen. 3 times the PRC fired artillery or missiles at or near Taiwan in 1954 to 1955, in 1958, and in 1995 to 1996. Even see that recently. To deter Taiwan from forging closer relations with the U.S. and or declaring independence. China's pattern of behavior is clear and consistent. Beijing turns to violence when confronted with the prospects of permanent losing control of territories. It will attack one foe to scare off others. Surprise attack is the order of the day. The PLA launches the first strike. That's how they operate. So if they're going to get into it with us, if they think they might get into this with us, expect them to strike first and to hit hard and massively, because the element of surprise, that's the way it works. Now, well, they got the weapons to do it with now, too, with those new hypersonic weapons. We wouldn't even see them coming. And boy, they're putting in the missile fields, too, to back it up. In the past few decades, China has been able to amass influence and wrest concessions from rivals through influence of its booming economy and the greed of the other countries. But that ship is running out of steam, and the CCP is reverting to its older ways. Oh, there's no surprise in that, my friends. You're going to see that in a minute. As the UK handed Hong Kong back, Portugal gave up Macau, and the US fast-tracked the PRC into major international organizations like the World Trade Organization. And many countries cut their ties with Taiwan. China advanced its interest according to Sun Tzu's Art of War without firing a shot. CCP chairman Deng Xiaoping said China was hiding its capabilities and biding its time. Now listen to that, think about that. Deng Xiaoping said this, and this really shows what their intent was all along. He said China, now remember, Deng Xiaoping actually started the so-called open market. And of course, it grew more under other chairmen of the CCP following that until Xi come along. Once they had amassed a huge economy, they switched. But listen, China is hiding its capabilities and biding its time. Biding its time. Why? They knew in time that the dragon would come out. They knew in time they wanted to take control. Their goals have been the same from the get-go. There's nothing new. What Xi Jinping wants is to have regional dominance first and then the world. They got to take the United States down first to do that. And I've covered that in previous videos. It appears that China is no longer hiding or biding with Xi Jinping's wolf warrior ways, his new wolf warrior approach. No, so that day is over. Countries are waking up to China's game and standing up to protect their interests. Countries all around China are quickly expanding their militaries. Coalitions such as the Quad and the AUKUS are expanding. Fear and mistrust of China is escalating around the globe. The iron is hot for China to strike, because that's a closing window with everybody else waking up and escalating their militaries. But it's going to take time for them to get everything stood up. So there's a narrow opportunity for China as this got the momentum and building up. China is already flexing those muscles, by the way, along the border with India. Now, I haven't been covering all the little conflicts and skirmishes. They still going on there between India and China at that border. So I may have to come back to that in the near future to discuss that further. The CCP staked out its legitimacy on reabsorbent areas that it deems as its own. They claim they will make China whole again. Did you believe that Xi Jinping, when he first started, his moniker was to make China great again? Xi told James Mattis, remember Mad Dog Mattis, the Secretary of Defense? Mad Dog Mattis. He told Mad Dog Mattis in 2018, we cannot lose even 1 inch of the territory left behind by our ancestors. Anything that China might have conquered anywhere over its entire history, or anything a China man ever looked at, they think is theirs. You know, how else would they be claiming the Arctic too? Yeah, they're saying they're an Arctic nation among many of the proclamations they've made. And I think they're using Canada to gain a foothold in the Arctic. Watch out, guys. The hotspots are Taiwan, the Senkaku Islands, which are claimed jointly by Japan, or Japan claims them, and so does China, the Himalayas, the South China Sea, and more. To take Taiwan, China may launch a surprise attack on the U.S. bases in Okinawa and Guam. And of course, I tell you that they may launch an EMP attack on America. They may have quite a surprise attack up their sleeve, maybe an EMP and hypersonic missile attacks. Worry more about the EMP side. The window for China is almost upon it, as the surrounding countries' plans to beef up forces is yet to materialize. Like I said, they're like AUKUS, the submarine fleets that we're wanting to establish with Australia, give them nuclear submarines, torpedo submarines, not with nuclear weapons, just nuclear powered submarines. That doesn't materialize until 2040. A bit late, a bit late. The CCP considers that a short shot war with the Senkakus, would humiliate Japan, rupture its U.S. alliances, and teach a lesson to it and others in the region. They strategized that landing or parachuting special forces on the islands and proclaiming a maritime exclusion zone enforced by the PLAN, the People's Liberation Army Navy, would force Japan to yield. It would force the U.S. to choose to honor its pledges or retreat, wrecking the U.S.-Japanese alliance, which they would love to do that. See, the United States has said, we have said that we will defend the Senkakus. Actually, the U.S. had the Senkakus after the war with Japan ended. We were there. We had those islands, and we gave those islands to Japan. And Japan had them in the past, and at some point prior to that, at some point China had them. It kind of went back and forth there. So we'll have to see how that turns out. It's not a pretty situation. China could use nuclear blackmail to force the U.S. to back up, to back down with China's new missile forces, including the hypersonic missiles and all those new silos they're putting in, which may have up to 4,000 warheads on the ones just in the new silos they're putting up. Yeah, China's got a lot more warheads than what they're making us, what we're led to believe. And then again, Beijing may target the Philippines. They've been sending forces around islands and reefs claimed by the Philippines for generations, where the Philippine people have been fishing, and the Philippines challenged them. The World Court at The Hague ruled in favor, as arbitration court ruled in favor of the Philippines, and said that China was clearly outside the law of the sea treaty. This area clearly, by all international treaties and standards, belonged to the Philippines. But China said, nah, it's ours. We claim it. We're there. And they just flaunted it. They will use the UN against us because they know Western countries will abide by it, but they do whatever they want. And then they get really indignant if you challenge them in any way and just try to scorn other people and point a finger at them. Some way to act, being a crybaby bully all at the same time. It's not impressing their neighbors, I'll say that. With the CCP's grandiose territorial claims, the 2020s could become a terrible decade. The CCP has a host of wasting assets in the form of military advantages that may be set to rapidly erode as the 2020s approach the end. So they may be tempted to use this stuff while it's still usable. Because a lot of their assets will be degrading as the decade moves on. So a lot of people are thinking that China might attack in the 2030s. No, if they're going to attack, it's going to be in the 2020s. I said if. The authoritarian CCP risks domestic legitimacy if it is in a losing position in a conflict. Therefore, escalation is likely. Therefore, a U.S.-China war would be extremely dangerous. There would be few off-ramps and strong pressures for escalation. So it might not just be a little shooting war in the South China Sea or the Senkaku Islands. It could go big. It could go big fast. It could go global. It could go nuclear. The warning signs for war with China are flashing red. Like I said, Biden administration, we don't want a Cold War with China. Well, we're already in a Cold War. We're risking a hot war. That's the problem. The U.S., friends and allies needs to drastically speed up acquisition of weapons and position of assets to ensure that China can't easily knock out our forces with a surprise attack, where they can't get us and take us down with that first strike. We have to rapidly shut China's window of opportunity. We need to be prepared for a war in 2024, not 2035 or 2040 in case of AUKUS. We got to speed things up. If we can just hold off war until then, the dragon will lose its teeth. It'll start to lose its teeth. And the dragon, instead of breathing fire, will be puffing fog because the dragon's getting old and the stuff will start to deteriorate. Now, their claim is that they want to have all these regions be reunified by Taiwan by 2049. Well, if we can let them think that they still got to go by the time 2049 rolls around, China is going to be a toothless, fog-puffing dragon, not a big, fierce, red, gnarly dragon breathing fire as it is today with big flashing teeth. Those old teeth will start falling out. So our objective is just to hold off. We don't want war, but I believe in peace through strength, among other things. And I'll be talking about some of these other things in a future video. There's several other things we can do, but let's focus on this for right now. I think I can see a path where China does not get to pull off world dominance. And so we'll talk about that more in a future video, hopes. But anyway, what you need to know is this. The political will has not yet been there to get ready this soon. This is why you need to contact your representatives. Otherwise, we risk loss of our power grid, which can be extremely catastrophic. And I've talked about this so many times. We risk nuclear winter and loss of our ozone layer. It wouldn't take such a big war to wipe out our ozone layer and put all life on Earth at grave risk. Life on Earth would be devastated. So our greatest threat is not CO2. It's an aggressive CCP. Now I want to show you something in a little bit, but what I'm going to say is this. Use our resources at the Freedom Restoration Foundation to contact your representatives and let them know what you think about this. That we need to be more extremely fast on getting ready. So let's see what that we need to be more extremely fast so that life on Earth will last. In the meantime, prep as if your life depended on it, because it just may, and the time can be short. Now I'm going to show you something real quick here, guys. I'm going to show you the Freedom Restoration Foundation. Open it up, squeeze it over. So I'm going to hit the share button. I'm going to show you what you can go to here and use as a resource center for contacting your representatives. This is the home page that you land on, and it covers our political alerts, some our issues, and how you can act locally and nationally, and things that you can do there. But what you really want to see is an action center. Bang, action center. Because here in the action center, of course, we repeat some of our alerts, and then we talk about making your voice count. We've got access to how you can track bills in Congress, 2 different places, track bills in your state legislatures, excuse me, state legislature website, so you can find your legislatures. How to find your U.S. Congress representative. Everybody has one representative in Congress. How you go in and find that person. Here's the switchboard number you can call. Say 1 for Senate, or press 1, and 2 for the, excuse me. I hate it when it does that. 1 for Senate, or 2 for the House of Representatives. Here's the website you can go to find who your senator is. You should have 2 senators. Everybody got 2 senators, your senators. And this talks about how to send email, call, and write. Now, what to write, what to say on the telephone, and then a recap of all these resources. So, guys, these are the things. Everything you need to know for contacting your Congress quitters is here on this page. Stop share. Halo. So there's other things that we can do, that the United States can do to dampen the prospects that we go to war with China, to dampen the prospects of them dominating the world with their authoritarian regime, the one which is not so nice to people such as the Uyghur, the Falun Gong, Christians. So many people, they do horrible things too. Horrible, just horrible. So yeah, there's a reason why the people in Taiwan are willing to fight to the death to maintain their independence. They know what's over there. They know firsthand. This is not against the Chinese people. I've said often, there's good and bad people everywhere. including in China. There's good people in every village, hamlet, in the nation of China and anywhere on earth. There's good people of every race, color, creed, and religion. But the people in China are subjected to the regime of the CCP. The people in China and the people in the People's Republic of China, mainland China, and the Republic of China, Taiwan, on the island of Formosa, are the same people genetically. I mean, these people were here and they went to exile over here. They're the same stock people. But these have freedom, and they know it and value it greatly. They know how dear and precious freedom is. These people over here, they get the brainwashing one message from the state. That's all they get. Whatever CCP approves is all they get to hear constantly. So they're not doing as well, not nearly as well as the people over here. And these guys know it, but they got cross ties both ways. So the only people that want to be under the communist Chinese control is college students in the United States. Some Gen Xers, maybe some millennials. They just don't know or appreciate the truth of what the value of freedom. But I hope we can wake them up to that so they can see it for themselves. And maybe China's lone wolf warrior actions, will help illustrate to them, and this isn't so ideal, but they think communism and socialism is great. And I've done other videos on that. We can go back to that in the future if need to. In fact, we probably will. But I just want to let you guys know, here's the bottom line of this video. China, their modus operandi is to strike first, to hit first, the element of surprise. That's what they've done every time they've went to war. They launch a surprise attack, massive surprise attack. That's what you got to expect. You won't see it coming. You'll think everything's hunky-dory, and the next thing you know, boom. That's the risk we face in the next few years, 2022, 2023, 2024, 5, and 6, through the 2020s. But if we can hold it off, if we just hold it off, just past the early 2030s, I think that's on. And it might be that people of China will look at Xi Jinping and say, you know what? This guy's getting us in the potential risk of nuclear worries. He's destroying our economy. And then they'll figure it out and decide that they don't want him in power anymore. Let's hope that happens. And let's hope that they somehow find it within them to actually come up with a government much more like the one in the Republic of China. That would be the perfect way to reunify with the Republic of China, is to adopt the same kind of government. One that empowers the people, the real people, not some select committee of people. The People's Republic of China is not a republic, and it's not the people's. It's the CCP's. So there you go, guys. That's the key things there. It belongs to the CCP, unfortunately. But they mask it as things, and they use that reverse psychology language on the people, so they will hopefully follow along. But you know what? A lot of them just aren't buying into it. A lot of them are seeing through it. So bless their hearts and pray for them that they find freedom. Okay, my friends, that's enough to say for tonight. So I hope I can get this thing posted tonight within the span of Veterans Day. But topics like this go into long periods of check-in on YouTube. And we'll spin the wheels checking it forever because we're afraid I might have said something, which I pay close attention to the guidelines, and I go through great steps not to go outside of those. But I try to honor the guidelines, this platform that enables me to bring you such good information here. But they double check it to a great extent. Anyway, my friends, so thank you for watching. Don't forget, subscribe if you've not already done so. Share this and share it widely. Help me out. Go in the comments below and comment on other people's comments. Give me thumbs up, and give them thumbs up where you think they have merit for what they're saying. So all that social interaction helps pick this channel up. This channel is suffering. When I got more views on this channel when my channel only had 18,000 subscribers. I got more views when I had 18,000 subscribers than I get today with over 52,000 subscribers, 52,500. Why? It's the algorithms. And I see other smaller channels get far more views than that. It's the algorithms, guys. So help me out. You help me out, and what it'll do is help everybody. So we need to spread the word. to get people aware, to prepare, and to take the right kind of actions with our Congress and other things that are preventative so that these things don't come to pass. And finally, my final word to you is this. We got a lot of hatred in the world today. A lot of things are going on, and that really don't help. As light dispels dark, love dispels hate. So shine your love light to the world. Hopefully we can get through these times. But never give up. Don't mean you got to back down. Does not mean you got to surrender. Okay, my friends, and all my fellow veterans out there, thank you very much for watching.